Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over some tips on how to get more bouncy melodies. Now this is going to be a couple of techniques I use and a lot of mine to make them more interesting. I hope this video helps you out, and with that said, let's go ahead and jump straight into it here. First off, before we do anything, we're going to play the melody that we do have to this track. So you could see it right here. You could probably already see some of the techniques I've done, but before we explain everything, let's just go ahead and play it so you get a feel for what we're working with. So that's what we do have for the track I'm going to be breaking down here in terms of melody techniques. There are a few things I do that I think are incredibly helpful, so hopefully this does help you out. And starting off, first off, my first tip that I'm going to mention to you guys, this is going to be about shortening and just basically making different note lengths. So you see here, especially in the way this melody does start, it's not perfectly, locked just right here to grid in terms of length anyway. I do have notes of varying length. Especially here, like this section in between these two notes, I have this little hit that like barely even plays, it's just kind of there, rather than, elongating it, making it super long. And this actually makes a huge difference, and this is something I'm going to show you now. So say for example, we took our melody and we made everything like that. This kind of gets rid of those like little hops I made in the melody. Let's take a listen to that and hear how exactly it would sound. Versus this. There's a pretty substantial difference there. I think that second one, when I have things longer, is just a lot more boring. This gives it a lot of excitement. The second thing that really gives this some groove is actually the swing knob. This is built into FL by default. This is just an option that you have on patterns. If you don't know what it does, it puts things a bit off-grid. You can't necessarily see it, like if I'm turning the knob, you don't see any difference, but it just sort of does it automatically and you hear it. So to demonstrate what that sounds like, I'm going to put it to 100, just to kind of over-exaggerate it. This is going to sound terrible, by the way, but just to demonstrate what that's doing. So it's like that, but on a less obvious level. If we put it at 0 to kind of compare what this would sound like if I didn't do it, you have this. Compared to, I put it at around like 30 or so, 35. I think that flows a lot better, especially the first 3 notes. Like when I have that off, I think it just sounds kind of rushed and annoying. There's no groove there, but just turning this on gives it groove. It's a really nice technique. Another thing that's really carrying this whole sound, this isn't necessarily to do with the melody writing, but it's absolutely to do with processing, and this gives it a huge boost into just like how interesting it sounds. I have a delay send, and I'm doing some cool things to the delay, like chorus, adding some reverb and disperser to that alone, but that's not necessarily the important part. The important part is just the delay itself. Listen to the difference in just groove if I mute the delay layer. Versus this. We could take a listen to just the delay so you see what exactly we're listening to. So that's just in the background, but it adds a lot of like continuous movement to the track in a way, which is really interesting. I think it plays really nicely with like the rest of the elements like the bass, the drums. It just keeps the lead in a way where it's always going, which I think is super nice. You could hear that, here as well. It was very necessary to keep the lead in a way where it's always moving, so I think that helped to accomplish that really nicely. And my last tip, this is kind of I guess an unconventional one to put in like the same league as like melody writing and stuff, but I think sidechaining absolutely helps this to sound more interesting. In a lot of tracks, like stuff that isn't house like this, you might have sidechain really quick and it's not necessarily a feature of the track, it's just like a technical necessity. But in house especially, you could get away with sidechain literally being a musical tool. So I have a super long release on this, and because it's house, that's just what it wants and it works. If we take off the sidechain and listen to the bass as well, because the bass also has some nice groove, Listen to how flat this will sound versus when we turn on the sidechain after. You know, versus this. I think it adds like a nice, I guess, danceability to it, and it's giving it that ducking that you expect in house. And even without the drums, it just sounds cool anyway. That's a nice way because it gives your melody some points of silence, which is a good thing. It infers rhythm, tells you like what you're expecting, and I think that's a super useful tip. But that's going to wrap up this video. I hope you learned something about writing melodies, how to hopefully make them more interesting. If you did, let me know in the comments and drop a like, as well as subscribe for more future content from me. But I will see you in the next video.